Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into the world of a really significant figure, Nabil Al-Uraini. Our sources define him not just as a major novelist, but as a critical thinker right at the heart of the Palestinian cultural scene.
And that combination is what's so striking, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when you call someone a novelist and a thinker, it means their work is doing, double duty. It's telling stories, but it's also shaping consciousness. So our mission here is to really synthesize what these sources tell us to get a feel for his unique literary style, his key works, and maybe most importantly, his huge influence as a cultural organizer.
Yeah, and the context for why we're talking about him now, well, it just provides this gut punch of urgency. His books were being featured at the 75th Cairo International Book Fair, which is this massive global stage, right? They're there with his publisher, Dar al-Soma. But there's this really poignant detail about his attendance, or I should say his lack of it.
It's absolutely heartbreaking. The sources are very clear about it. Al-Uraini can't be there. He can't attend this huge event for his own work because he is currently besieged in Gaza under war, under fire. And this leads to this incredibly evocative description. It says his books are waiting at the exhibition like orphans.
Like orphans. Wow. I mean, that simple phrase just captures everything, doesn't it? You have this rich body of work ready for the world, but it's separated by conflict from its own creator. We really have to keep that image in our minds as we start to unpack his writing philosophy.
Absolutely. Because what makes his style so powerful is this rare kind of symmetry he achieves. It's described as balancing a depth of idea with a real beauty of style. So the philosophy never crushes the artistry. The story always serves the thought.
And he doesn't just stick to one genre either. He moves so seamlessly between them. We see him doing everything from what you'd call realistic literature all the way to deep fantasy and pure imagination. And the key thing is, he grounds all of it, no matter how wild the plot gets, in Palestinian popular heritage.
Yes, that grounding is everything. It's what lets him get to that psychological depth that readers find so transformative. His whole technique is this deep human narration paired with a really precise psychological analysis of his characters. He's not interested in stick figures. He wants to, map the soul.
It's an interesting way the sources put it. They say his works aren't just meant to be read, they're meant to be lived. They illuminate these different sides of the human soul with this bracing kind of honesty and transparency.
Precisely. And if you step back and look at the bigger picture, his stories are offering this mature vision for life, for society. The sources say it perfectly. His stories don't just write about a homeland or a map. They write about the pulse that resides in hearts before maps.
That's such a powerful idea. It means the internal human reality, belonging, fear, memory, love. That's the primary focus. The geopolitics comes second. It's an act of centering the self, even in chaos.
And that focus is what lets the reader feel his world so vividly. The sources mention that his work carries the scent of olives, the sound of the muezzin, the tears of mothers, but it's all blended with the smiles of children who are, born from the resilience of Gaza. He captures that whole spectrum. He doesn't sanitize the hardship, but he doesn't minimize the hope either.
Okay, that sets the stage perfectly for digging into his actual literary work. He has this massive catalog. The sources highlight 10 specific works, so we should probably be selective and dive into a few that really show that balance you were talking about.
Let's start small to show his range. There's the novella, Wife Furnished. It's described as being historical, but it uses that history to explore these structural tensions, specifically the history of Arab conflict and the differences between people.
So a very concentrated look at division, but the one that gets really fascinating, mixing history with the just plain bizarre, is the long novel Cat's Alley.
Yes, this is where his fantasy side just takes over. Cat's Alley is a long-form novel, and it's full of these hidden, eerie, sort of unsettling worlds. But here's the key part. The book uses Gaza as its main setting, its foundational stage.
And that's such a jarring mix. Why take a place defined by this intense, immediate, often grim reality Gaza and then launch a fantastical, almost grotesque narrative from it?
Well, it's brilliant, actually. Pure realism sometimes can't quite capture the sheer scale or the absurdity of a continuous siege. By using fantasy, by introducing these strange worlds, Al-Uraini invites you, the reader, into a contemplative space, a space where you can question the very nature of reality in that place. It's a way to make the unseen psychological weight visible. The weirdness becomes a mirror for a very harsh truth.
It forces you to look at the unsettling foundations, not just the headlines. And speaking of that, let's just quickly mention the medium novel, Grandfather, second Mr. Hashem bin Abd Naf. We don't have time to go deep, but get this, the plot is set across Arab cities and different planets, so he's clearly coming back to this idea of using these cosmic settings to explore conflict.
Exactly. He's searching for the strange, big, and frightening causes,
Mhm.
as the source puts it, and he's going way beyond simple geography. He's telling you the roots of this struggle are ancient, maybe even universal.
Okay, so we have the historical and the fantastical.
Yeah.
Now let's pivot to the third work we need to spotlight, which feels, I don't know, maybe the most relevant to his philosophical side. The epistolary literature he created, Letters Between Gaza and Dubai.
Oh, this one is such a powerful statement on communication itself. With this work, Al-Uraini is deliberately trying to revive the art of the letter. He calls it a bridge between hearts and minds. He's doing this in a world that's all about speed over meaning.
It's a total pushback against the modern digital world, isn't it? When everything is a quick text, a soundbite, a fast post, he's championing this sincere, reflective, long-form connection.
And the sources say the style is so rich, it blends affection, deep thought, honesty, sacrifice, creating these beautiful human and romantic worlds. It's this insistence that sincerity takes time, that real connection only happens when we slow down, which is so poignant given the physical separation he and his correspondents are living with.
It really is. And before we move on, we should just touch on the sheer breadth of his work. I mean, beyond these, he's also produced social books, travelogues, theater, and even prison literature, Ada al-Sujun.
He is incredibly prolific, which brings us perfectly to the other, equally massive part of his contribution. He isn't just Nabil Al-Uraini, the writer, he is Nabil Al-Uraini, the cultural leader.
Exactly. He's the founder of the Tuquan cultural system. This is where his individual art becomes systemic organization.
And the system is described as one of the largest literary and cultural gatherings in Palestine. It shows this deep commitment to building a permanent infrastructure for the entire intellectual ecosystem, not just, waiting for individual talents to pop up.
And it's so formalized. That's what's impressive. It's not just a book club. It's a real institution.
You can see the vision just by looking at the components. It covers the whole life cycle of a writer.
Right. You start with the physical hub, the Tuquan Cultural Center. Then there's the Tuquan Literary Salon for adults, and I think this is key, the Tuquan Small Literary Salon. So he's making sure to mentor young talent.
And beyond literature, he made space for pure discussion with the Tuquan Intellectual Forum. He wanted thinkers to have a dedicated space.
Plus the practical side. The Tuquan Academy for Creative Writing and Training. A clear investment in education for the next generation. Then you have the magazine, the frameworks, and, looking to the future, the Tuquan Electronic Publishing and Digital Solutions arm.
The big takeaway here is just profound. This system shows that Al-Uraini sees culture and literature not as these ephemeral arts, but as vital, organized infrastructure that has to be built and protected, especially in a region where those structures can be so fragile. He's building the foundations for literary permanence.
So if we pull all this together, you see these two massive contributions. First, the writer. The one whose work goes from searing realism to this unsettling fantasy that makes you question reality. And second, the architect who built the Tuquan system, a framework designed to make sure Palestinian cultural life can thrive.
And that focus on persistence, on thriving.
Uh-huh.
And it brings us right back to his Letters Between Gaza and Dubai. We noted that he's reviving this slow, sincere art form in an age of instant information.
Right. A deliberate rejection of speed in favor of meaning.
Exactly. And think about where he's doing this from. He's living in one of the most fast-paced, high-stakes environments imaginable, where every millisecond can matter for survival. For a major intellectual in that exact situation, to still insist on the priority of sincere, emotional, truthful connection, the kind you find in the ancient art of the letter, it's a truly profound act of resistance. And it raises a question for all of us, doesn't it? Even outside of conflict zones. In a world that demands constant, immediate communication, what meaningful act of resistance can you undertake by choosing sincerity over speed? What vital connections might we be missing because we've forgotten how to just slow down and write a real letter from the heart?
That's a powerful thought to end on. Thank you for diving into the incredible depth of Nabil Al-Uraini's work with us.
My pleasure.
Until the next deep dive, keep thinking.